Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Nicole. In this video, I'm gonna tell you guys just a couple of basic things in regards to hours, workload, and just a couple of the benefits as well. So a bit of the pros and cons. Before we get into this video, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel so you could join this growing family, and also turn on your notification bell so that you are notified every time I upload a video. This is in regards to, is a quick comment in response to my, I quit my job, An Ugly Truth About Public Accounting. I'm gonna link the card below or put it down below in case y'all have not seen it. So I was getting a couple of comments saying that, oh, like your video and your title have nothing to do with each other, and I didn't really speak on the ugly truth. But I didn't want to make the video long. I didn't want to make it super long or else it would have been boring. And number two, I talked briefly, and I believe I mentioned that I was just gonna touch on a couple of brief things in regards to public accounting. And number three, this is my personal experience. I have worked in public accounting in Big Four public, and I have also worked in a mid-tier public accounting firm. So these are my personal experiences. Your experiences might differ from mine. Just be aware of that. I'm just sharing what I've learned from my personal experience, and also from the states that I've worked in. I've worked at a middle tier in Maryland, and I worked in a Big Four in Texas. Per my personal experiences, everybody's experiences are different, and that's perfectly okay. Now that we've gotten all of that out the way, I'm just gonna tell you guys a couple of quick things in regards to public accounting specifically. Number one is going to be hours. With public accounting, you are not really working a 9 to 5. You are working from whenever your senior or your team has deemed it's time for you to go to work till they tell you it's time to leave. And part of that is based off of where your client's environment. If you're working on an engagement where your client's office opens at 8 o'clock or they show up at 8 o'clock, you're showing up at 8 o'clock. If you are working for a client who shows up at 9, you're coming at 9. Latest 9:30. I don't think anybody opens business past 9:30. And in terms of leaving as a public accountant, you are not going to be leaving at the same time that the client is leaving. You're probably going to be leaving later. So if it's an 8 to 5, you're probably gonna get there at 8, but you're not gonna leave till 5:30 or maybe 6 or 6:30, all depending on what it is that you're working on, and also in regards to the 8 hours, because remember, you have 1 hour that's supposed to be designated for lunch. So it's not a set 8 to 5. Also, in terms of busy season hours, so busy season hours, you are working from, like, let's say 8 or 9, and you might not be leaving till 9 or 10 or midnight or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. depending on the client and the workload, and also your team dynamic. I was on a busy season where we were leaving anywhere between 10 to 11 during the beginning of busy season, and then we kept staying later and later as busy season progressed and we're getting closer to our filing date. And also in terms of hours, with public accounting, you shouldn't be surprised if you are expected to work weekends. It's a part of the job, especially during busy season. You will be 9 times out of 10, you're working on Saturday. Sometimes you're working on Sunday too, just depending on the deadline and the team and what's going on and if you guys are behind or not. For our team, we didn't work on Sundays till like 2 weeks before filing. Those last 2 weeks working Sundays were, I think one of them was optional and the other one was required. But I know people on other teams that were working 7 days of the week. And then I know also sometimes if you had to work on Sunday but you had other things to do, you could work from home. So that kind of wraps up the hours and what to expect for public accounting. Number 2, your pay does not equal your workload. You are getting paid salary unless you're going into public accounting as a contractor, which I know the firm I worked at did. During busy season, they hired contractors. So unless you're a contractor, you are not getting paid hourly, you are getting paid salary. So whether you work 40 hours or whether you work 80 hours, you are getting paid salary. So to a certain degree, your pay does not equal your work hours. That's just that. That's just the nature of the job. However, if you do work less than 40 hours, then your salary will be adjusted to acknowledge the fact that you worked under 40 hours. So the next thing with public accounting is the workload. Depending on how big or how small your team is and how big or how small your client is, your workload will vary. It's not always going to be the same workload. There are months that are lighter and there are months that are heavier in terms of workload. Typically, so starting from the beginning of the year, January through March, you are pretty busy, dealing with busy season and helping clients file and all of that stuff. And then typically, depending on your engagement, it slows down after that. So the engagement I worked on, they were a February deadline. So things kind of got quiet after February 15th. Things slowed down a bit. And then usually in public accounting, do not be expected to stay on one client. So things might slow down for a bit and then you're back on another busy season engagement through March. So the first quarter of the year, your workload is pretty heavy and then it gets lighter and then you are doing quarters. So quarter isn't bad. So it's just once your quarter closes for your client, you are just testing and auditing their financials. But that's not too bad. But also, like I said, it depends on the client. But usually during the beginning of the year, there's not much activity going on. So the beginning of the year is a bit lighter. And then once you get in towards the summertime, your work is still pretty light. However, when you're doing quarters, it's going to be a bit heavier just because you are auditing for like half of the year. At that point, there's more activity that has been going on. So you're doing that. And on top of that, you are starting to do walkthroughs to get ready for interim testing and things of the sort. So in the summertime, you're getting ready to do walkthroughs. And at that point, your team should have already done their planning. So you're doing walkthroughs and just getting things ready for the audit, for the year-end close and for the audit for the following year. And you are, and with that, you're also starting to get ready to do interim testing. And interim testing is usually done like August, September-ish, October timeframe. So you are doing that. So usually around August-ish, September, October, your workload kind of picks up. So be ready for that. It was in busy season and I was working till 7, 8 o'clock or at times I was working till midnight back in my hotel room if I was on an engagement where I had to travel. So it's all gonna depend. And my next point with that is, with public accounting, you could be on one engagement for your first year, or your first couple of years, or you could be bounced around. It's all gonna be based off of need and your schedule, especially as a staff, as a first year staff and even a second year staff. Expect to be moved around to at least a couple of different clients, even if they're not your main client, but especially around busy season time. After your client files, be expected to go to another engagement. Just expect that that's going to go on your schedule for the most part. And also, depending on the need, you might be the staff like I was, that was bounced around with from client to client to client. I was on 3 different clients in a matter of a month. In a month's time frame, I went to 3 different clients, 3 different industries, 3 different sectors. So expect that. I know I talked about all the boring stuff, but perks. Starting at a Big 4 is really awesome on your resume. It's gonna make you stand out, and when it's time for you to transition from public to private to just other industries, you're really gonna stand out that you came from a Big 4. For the most part, depending on your firm, they can be flexible with you. Sometimes it might not happen, but for the most part, if you speak up, they try their hardest to be flexible and work with you in your personal schedule. I know for me, back in November, I went through a rough time and I had to take some time off work, and they were super accommodating with that. So they are pretty flexible. They're like 80% flexible. I could say like 75% of your meals are paid for. During busy season, your meals are paid for. If you are working past, if you're working past 6 o'clock, and your team says you're gonna be staying later, like, you can expense your dinner, or your team lead will probably just order dinner for everybody. Your travels are paid for if you're going to an engagement for travel. They pay for your travel, they pay for your hotel. You get your mileages reimbursed if you're going over a certain distance. And it helps you, like, if you want to build like hotel points or like mileage, like air mileage and things of the sort, they help you with that. And they have some good benefit programs. Like my firm, my previous firm, they had really good benefit programs in terms of wellness, where you got a certain amount back per year for like wellness and fitness, things of the sort. So you didn't really have to pay for your gym membership, and like gym equipment. If you wanted to buy it, they reimbursed up to a certain amount. They reimbursed a certain amount for like the fitness watches. Another good benefit was the cell phone bill, because you're using your cell phone a lot. So they compensate and they will pay you a set amount every month for your cell phone. So yeah, I hope I was able to clarify some things and bring some new light on what you guys should expect if you want to go into public accounting. And per usual, let me know any questions you guys have down below, and I'd be more than happy to answer the questions for you. And if you haven't already, make sure you enter the giveaway. I'm going to link the rules below and the video in one of the cards on where you should go and enter the giveaway. I will be announcing the winners on April 15th. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.